So what is China really like in 2024? Well, the best way to answer that is to physically come here and experience it for yourself. Because oftentimes our perceptions of China is completely different than reality. Now, I'm currently standing in a popular plaza in downtown Guangzhou, and behind me is something that you might not ever expect to see in China. But yet this is one of the oldest and most historic Catholic cathedrals in all of China. This dates back to the 1860s. This is the Sacred Heart Church of Guangzhou, and it is one of the few Catholic cathedrals that is entirely built out of granite. Everything you see here, from the two towers, the spire, and everything in between is made out of granite. What's interesting about this cathedral is that every single day there are masses held in not only Mandarin, but Cantonese, English, and Korean. And this is something I want people to understand. You will not be able to fully understand China until you get your boots on the ground and experience it for yourself. And today, I've flown all the way to southern China. I'm in Guangzhou, the absolute economic heartbeat of southern China, and we are going to reveal to you today how the city and the government is transforming this entire region into the world's largest megacity. It's pretty hard to say that China does not allow religion when you see so many people here from around the city flocking to this church. This is a Saturday afternoon in China, and of course the church is closed at the moment. It will be opening up for Mass later on. Certainly Sundays is going to be very popular here. And this is really quite amazing because the Chinese have really embraced this, and they have come down here, very popular for photo shoots. And some fun facts about the cathedral: this very site that we're standing on right now was once the actual home of the governors that oversaw all of Guangdong province. This was an actual government territory back in the 1800s. Of course, it was completely overtaken and destroyed by the British when they came in during the Second Opium War. And when that war concluded, actually it was European governments that raised funds to help support and build this church, which again was completed in 1861. But once again, to really understand what's going on in southern China and what's really happening here in 2024, I'm gonna bring back a special guest to the YouTube channel. You guys know and love him very well. This is Alex from Reporterfy Media, and he has come down to Guangzhou, China.
Absolutely.
Dude, Alex, it's so good to see you in my city, because you know what we did? A couple weeks ago, we were in Chongqing.
Yes, we were.
We did a walk and talk, and honestly, it was been so well received by the people. And you know, I come back to China every summer, and I said, Alex, you know what we need to do? You need to come down to my city, because you know, Chongqing for me, it was one of the cities that it was on my bucket list. I really wanted to see this mega city, but this is the Pearl River Delta, and we are standing right next to the Canton Tower, one of the coolest buildings in all of China. And this is where my wife is from. She's from Guangzhou. This is kind of our hood, and I want to bring you down here to talk a little bit about what southern China is doing, because honestly, the plans that China's government has unveiled for the future of southern China, it is absolutely quite incredible, and Hong Kong plays a tremendous role in this.
Indeed. It's not just the architecture, it's the understanding of what's going on down in this region. You know, there are some very powerful cities in the region which you're going to bring up today.
Yeah.
So let's go talk about it.
So first thing I want to talk about is actually Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Because I had a chance to go back last week. I spent an entire week in Hong Kong, and Alex, it was the first time I visited the city since 2017. And there is a tremendous shift that has happened inside the city.
I can only guess.
You know, when I first lived in Hong Kong was 2014. And this was the start of the umbrella movement. This was the start of really the protest. And I gotta be honest, you know, those protests in Hong Kong really devastated and were very hard for my wife and I to really go through, because my wife and I, we were married in Hong Kong. Our first daughter was born in Hong Kong, and to see the riots in Hong Kong, to see that city just destroyed, was really a sad time. But what's incredible right now is that after the pandemic, what has happened is we're actually seeing Hong Kong integrated much more smoothly into the mainland, and it really is not so much a move from the government, but actually a move from the people.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting now is that I was in Hong Kong on the July 1st holiday. That's a public holiday in China, and there were 1 million people in Hong Kong that left and came right here, came to Shenzhen, Zhongshan, Foshan, Guangzhou, and every weekend you are seeing a tremendous amount of people from Hong Kong coming into mainland China. And the reason is simple. I mean, you look behind us, we've got a beautiful clear day, we've got amazing scenes like this. We're standing in really the heart of the central business district here in Guangzhou.
When I lived in Canada in 1986, and the following 10 years that came after that, people from Hong Kong were just flooding into the city of Vancouver. And I think this might be what's happening here.
Oh, it's, you know what's really incredible is that I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There are a lot of people in Hong Kong that are not big fans of the Chinese government. They're not fans of mainland China. Actually, a lot of my friends that were in Hong Kong, they said, hey, Cyrus, we know your stance on China. We know that you look at China a little bit more favorably. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like China. This is really what they were saying to me in 2015, 2016, 2017. I met with those same friends last week. You know what they're doing? No. Every weekend they're here in Shenzhen. Really? Every weekend they're coming here to China because they said the thing that's amazing about China right now is, you know, because of the prices have remained relatively stable. This is something that we've talked a lot about, right?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about this. You know, with my experience in China in 4 years now, in the last 4 years, is the inflation factor. That hasn't been a topic on anyone's table.
Yeah, absolutely. So the prices are better here. The service is really phenomenal. So what's interesting is you're seeing the high-end stores, right? Your luxury stores in Hong Kong, no one's buying there because there's better selection in China. The prices now are really almost the same. It's about 10% cheaper, not much. You know, it used to be much higher back in the day, but many Hong Kong people are coming here because they're saying the food is better, the quality of the food for the price is better, the service is much better. They're coming for massages, they're coming for weekend getaways, and it's incredible to see how interconnected Hong Kong and really this entire region is. And there's also another big announcement. The Chinese government is now planning to build the world's largest metro, connected metro in the entire world.
In 4 years here, I've seen a shift where used to be, and there's a lot of America here. A lot of America here in China, okay? Big names, the Starbucks, you know, you see a lot of the other brand names, even automobiles used to be quite big here. Chongqing, of course, I'm gonna have to bring that up. Yeah. 1 in 3 cars are made in Chongqing, in China. Okay, that's 33% of the entire automotive market.
I didn't know that.
Now that's of course petrol cars and of course new energy vehicles. The other thing that I've recently seen here is there's a shift coming away from the Starbucks. It's going into the Luckin coffees. Yeah. These established brand names are being competitive against the KFCs, the McDonald's. Now you might not think that that's a big deal, right? But look at the bottom line on a lot of these Fortune 500 companies. A lot of their growth came from right here. Yeah. And they're being challenged by brands like Huawei. Right. Huawei, everybody thought it was dead in the water, has emerged, and Apple sales have actually gone down about 19%. Right. Now, that's not saying that, you know, they're walking away from American products or anything. It just means that this market is now maturing and it's getting smarter. And, you know, when you're talking about integrating metro lines together, the volume of the people that's going to be moving is going to be astronomical.
So China is extending the local metro system so that it'll uncover the entire Greater Bay Area, spanning Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Hong Kong, Foshan, and Dongguan. This will be over 2,000 kilometers of a metro network that would make it the largest in the world. Now, for comparison, for everybody wanting to compare, just the size, you know, is just New York City is around 400 kilometers. So we're talking, this is going to be 5x. You know, the most advanced, developed metro system in the United States. But what's incredible is you look at this entire region here, and this is something that China does, I think, better than most countries, is that they're taking 2 major cities and bringing them together. Yeah. So, for example, if you go in the north, you look at Beijing and Tianjin, they've now closed, you know, with the high-speed rail.
They're like economic circles.
They're like economic circles. Shanghai, the city that I lived in for 7 years, now very close with Suzhou. You can take the metro there, another economic circle. But they're making
Chengdu, Chongqing economic circle, 100 high-speed rail trains going a day there.
Absolutely.
100 million people in that area.
And then now you've got the Greater Bay Area, which is going to be unbelievable. The Pearl River Delta down here, I mean, we're talking big business. And
I'm sorry to cut you off because this is quite exciting to talk about, because this is one of the first areas I visited China when I came. I was starting to come to China in the year 2000, okay? Right. And my wife and I were importing, exporting from Shenzhen. Right. Now, go back 30, 40 years ago, that was a fishing village. Yeah. All right? Now it's a mega city. It's Silicon Valley here of China. And what you're talking about, the connection of all these together, and then that's plugged in to the logistical lines as well as the train lines. Today I read the figure, 185,000 kilometers of track, 45,000 kilometers of high-speed rail in this country connected to these major cities. Once again, this is life-changing.
It is. It really is. And you know, Alex, as we continue our walk here, I want to talk on something you mentioned really interesting, is this shift that we've seen from the Chinese consumer. When I first came to China, 2007, something like a Starbucks, I mean, coffee culture was really non-existent, right? There was Starbucks and it was expensive. Chinese people liked it. It was kind of like the cool thing to do. But you know, one of the things, I'm a big coffee drinker, so I love coming here. I love coffee. I love it. But what's so interesting is that, you know, like you said, there are so many competitive brands now. So Starbucks is really, you know, I've been a Starbucks shareholder for 20 years. I love Starbucks. It's a phenomenal company, but they have some serious competition now, right? You've got the Luckin coffees, the Manor coffee, the M Stand coffee. So, and what we've also seen though is other brands like McDonald's is having a competitor, right?
Yeah.
There are
lots of competitors.
There's a lot of competitors, and I think what you've also seen, and I want to talk about the geopolitical ramifications of this, because one of the interesting things is inside of China, people are becoming very patriotic.
Yep.
And I've seen a lot of brands now really endorsing the China flag, the China name. People here inside this country, you know, for many years ago, back in 2008, right? You never saw that. It was always Nike, it was always Adidas, it was always, we want to have the foreign brands. Same thing, right? I was in China when iPhone launched, right? The original iPhone. When that launched, I mean, that was the biggest thing in the world to have. If you had an iPhone, you were the top dog. And at the time, like when you're doing business deals, you know, Chinese guys would give iPhones. You know, they would give iPhones, and I remember one of my clients, you know, one year he gave me an iPhone for Christmas, and that was my first iPhone. But like you said, now look at how things have shifted. Huawei, right? You see massive Huawei stores everywhere.
Yeah, they are.
You know, I mean, Xiaomi.
And they've had their struggles. These companies have been up against some serious challenges here.
Oh, big time.
They're, you know, when I visited Huawei last year in Beijing, I went to their massive display center, and it's not just a mobile phone company.
No.
These guys are involved in everything. They're involved in new energy vehicles. They're in the Avatar 1.2 and the Avatar 1.1 automobiles. That's the brains that are powering it. And I think this is where the viewers have to take a step back and say, wait a minute, is it just Chinese companies competing against American companies? Is that what you two are talking about?
Right.
Or is it, wait a moment, is it Chinese companies that are collaborating together as a patriotic move forward, which, you know, unemployment here has been a topic in the last year, and this country is trying to innovate itself moving forward. And when things are done here, they're done in steps. And for most part, they work.
Yeah.
Like you said, connecting all these locations together here is not an easy task.
It's not, but it's always one of the things that I've really respected from the government is their planning, right? China's very famous for having a 5-year plan, and I think it's actually one of the greatest things that the government does, because it's a very tangible thing that people can see. I believe China's in the 13th consecutive 5-year plan. One of the points in one of the 5-year plans was we want to increase the life expectancy of Chinese people, right? We want to increase that by on an average on 1 year.
It's hard to really show you viewers what we're looking at here, but this is, hi there. There are families, friends walking. You know, this is a Friday night, you know, early evening.
Just about 5:30 local time.
5:30 local time. And just look, just the peace, you know? People are getting on with their lives. They're enjoying their city.
Yeah.
Proud of their city.
Yeah.
You might not have heard of Guangzhou. You might not have heard of Chongqing, but you're going to.
Well, you know, the interesting thing with Guangzhou is that it is considered one of the top 4-tier cities, but out of the Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, you know, Guangzhou is definitely number 4, right? It's definitely number 4. So it is kind of, it's a city that's massive. There's over 20 million people that live here. But again, it's really relatively unknown in the West. Yep. You know, I mean, it is certainly big for the Canton Fair. That is huge. And, you know, Alex, I commend you on that video. You did. I'm going to put his link to that. That was one of your best videos. Absolutely love it. I've never been to the Canton Fair. I should come back. We should do a video there.
We're going to be there.
We're going to be there.
We're gonna be there.
Because it's so much fun. But, you know, I mean, again, it just shows you how important and how big. And if you haven't watched that video, I want you guys to watch it, because what Alex does a great job of showing you is you go to the Canton Fair, I'm talking every single product you can imagine. Anything. Any product, whether it's, you know, electronics or household goods or automotive, anything you can imagine, you've got the best vendors there. You can't believe the prices.
It's good that you brought up prices again.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they have this built-in, you know, perspective of China. It's cheap. It's low quality. Listen, these guys can build great stuff.
Yeah.
But if they're price gouged and the supplier saying, listen, I need this, microphone to be $5.
Yeah.
They will try to find a way to make it for $5.
Oh, they'll make it, yeah.
And it might not be the greatest quality, but see, that's the thing is, so sometimes you see products on the shelves in North America and you say, another cheap Chinese product, right?
Yeah.
You know, but this made in China thing now, we're seeing it also. When you talked about being patriotic, I was in a restaurant, and I'll remember the name and I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
I got the wrapping on the cheeseburger.
Right.
And the burger said made in China.
I know.
On the wrapper.
Amazing. I
wow.
know. And that's the thing that I think is seen, that we've seen this shift in the local consumer as well, is because on our last video, I went to Chongqing and I saw Li Ning, one of the famous brands, and now it's 中国李宁, right? It's 中国. They've got the name of China in the brand. I went to another sports store where they have the Chinese flag on all the equipment, all of the shoes, all of the backpacks, everything is with the China flag. I went to a gym here yesterday and the coffee shop, I counted, there were 39 Chinese flags, on little banners, like the little flags that hang off, and just see a tremendous amount of pride, in the people here. And I think that's something important for Westerners to understand, because there's a lot of things that Chinese people should be proud of.
Right.
And I've had even fans of the channel have reached out and said, Cyrus, thank you to you and Alex for being an objective voice and kind of just sharing your journey, your experiences, because I've had people reach out and say, Alex, I'm Chinese, but sometimes I feel a little ashamed to say I'm Chinese. And I say, you know what? You should never feel that. And this is something that, like, even with our children, my wife is Chinese. Obviously, our children are half Chinese, half Caucasian. So that's why we bring them back to China. That's why this summer is such an important trip for us, because I just say, I always tell my kids, I'm like, hey, there's a reason why your last name is Wang Jansen. Like, we have the double last name with the hyphen, because I'm like, you are Chinese and you should be proud of your heritage. And there's a lot of things in China that you should be proud of. Look at where we're at. I mean, city of 20 million people. The streets are perfectly clean. People are going about their day. One of the other things I wanted to, you mentioned, real quick before I forget, is you said the government's done a good job of planning. Yeah. Well, I went to a gym yesterday and I saw this government announcement, and one of the things was amazing. It said, we need to remember the lessons of COVID. You need to start taking care of your health. You guys should be investing in gyms. You should be investing in this. We were there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. My wife and I went to go work out. We couldn't find a spot. There was hundreds of people in this gym. Everybody's super fit. One of the most world-class gyms you've ever seen. And so again, there's certain businesses that are really booming, but it seems like, in my opinion, at least from what I've observed of going to a handful of gyms here in Guangzhou, that's a booming business right now. There's a lot of gyms here, and the Chinese people are investing in their health because they're coming out of this, 3-4 years of COVID.
And I'm going to add to that, because I was here during the pandemic. I came here right in the middle of the pandemic. You see all these volunteers, and you're like, where are these volunteers all coming from?
Right.
Young girls, young guys, party members.
Yeah.
They're putting their time and energy on the line for the country.
Yeah.
It was a very difficult time for the country.
Big time.
Volunteers everywhere, and we were being tested, free, didn't cost anything.
Right.
Okay. If there was some things that they had to deal with, they would get the local district to help you. But anyway, thank God we've moved past that and on to brighter days ahead. You sent me an interesting message the other day about some pretty amazing figures here. Yeah. I'm not sure if we're allowed to bring it up in today's video.
Yeah, let's bring it up. So,
because I want to add to that too, because I found out some other stuff.
Okay.
But you sent me these figures on tourism figures. Remember those?
Yeah. So here you go.
Yeah.
So look at this. So China's recorded 14.64 million inbound trips made by foreigners in the first half of the year, up 152.7% year on year. The number of visa-free entries made by foreigners went up by 8.5 million, accounting for around 52% of the inbound trips and representing a 190% year-on-year surge. And we will be very honest on this. This was from a low base. Right. So obviously it was a low base. The haters are going to come say, well, of course, no one was traveling to China. So of course those numbers are going to go up. But I think what's interesting is one of the things that China's government's done that I think has been very successful is there are now 54 countries in the world that are visa-free to China. And these are not small neighboring countries. That, for example, I mean, there's about 20 of them in Europe alone. Right, yeah. Most of the Western Europe can now.
Poland was just added. Oh, no, I'll talk about that. Yeah, I'm not going to give away what I'm telling.
Okay, go ahead.
But anyway, you were saying the 144 visas. So just so people understand, there's even the 144s and then there's the 72 hours. That means get on a plane, come to China, check it out. You like it? Great. Enjoy the weekend, no problem. It does have some minor things that you got to follow. For example, if you're flying into Guangzhou, can't really get on a plane and head to Beijing for one night or two. It doesn't work that way. It's kind of like a transfer visa, but it's been obviously working for millions of people. And that's the first one.
Yeah.
Now, what China has done is experimented since last April. It started to open up the country on a 15-day visa. And tomorrow we're going to have a guy named Michele Ponte come in on that visa.
Nice.
He didn't have to go to the China Visa Application Center.
Right.
He doesn't have to do the 72-hour visa. He just shows up.
Yeah,
now
that's a big deal.
This is a country that is getting ready to showcase its cities. And when they're opening, this is what you talked about earlier.
Yeah,
this plan.
Yeah.
This could be undoubtedly in the next 5 years, one of the most traveled countries in the world, because they are slowly opening this door up and making it easy. Imagine that. China used to be where we used to have to go to a visa application center. I did.
Yeah.
Get in line, wait. And even then, China was planning back then.
Yeah.
You used to go to the embassy and there are huge lineups.
Oh,
we all know what those are like, right?
Yeah, big time.
Make an appointment, do this. Then China shifted it to the China visa application centers. It's like going into a bank. Okay, pay this, come back tomorrow, thank you.
Right.
So that streamlined it even more.
Right.
Now the gate is opening up saying, come on in for 15 days, come on in for 30 days, come on in for 72 hours, come in for 144.
Huge.
And the word is getting out. Visit China is spreading everywhere.
And Alex, I have another interesting thing I want to bring up, because this one is a little bit interesting, okay?
Okay.
So we've got this is the Pew Research Center. Okay, they've come out with a very interesting, graph. Basically, it's a percentage. Percentage who say China contributes a great deal to peace and stability around the world. So take a look at this graph. I'm going to put it on the screen for everybody as well. But you basically look at, for example, you look at Australia at an all-time low, 22%. India, South Korea, Japan, pretty low. But the countries that are the closest to China, the ones that are in Southeast Asia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, even Philippines, over 50% of the Philippines, who, we know that, there's a lot of beef right now between United States, China, Philippines. They're involved in a big quarrel over the South China Sea. But what's interesting to see, Alex, is we have this interesting trend going on. People from rich developed nations have a more negative perception of China. People from middle income or low income countries, which obviously have the best relationships with China, due to the Belt and Road Initiative,
of course,
due to just literally billions upon billions of investment from the Chinese government building these up. I was talking to another YouTuber last week. They're down in Laos, and they are filming a project down there. It was incredible because he said all of these farmers that are in Laos, the Chinese government has come in and they're basically teaching them the advanced techniques on how to harvest grain, how to harvest rice, how to improve their farming. They're introducing a hybrid rice because it's going to perform better in that type of tropical climate. Obviously, who's the best people to grow rice in the world? The Chinese. They've mastered it. They know hybrid rice. They do all of this. But there's a tremendous amount of poverty alleviation from China's government going down in Laos while they're building a new railway to connect all of Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Thailand, Laos. All of these countries are going to be connected. This is a big thing, Alex, because I think perceptions are being broken down.
And I want to add to that. Behind every farmer that's starting, there's going to be that little branch and bank manager that's opening up now in the small town, like we used to see in the 60s, 70s, 80s in our countries.
Right.
That branch manager is going to give that guy a loan, and he's going to borrow money, and he's going to be responsible, and he's going to grow his business, and it's going to flourish.
Right.
So if this isn't about China going in there, we're going to take your port, we're going to take your airports, and we're going to strip the country. No, it's the Belt and Road is connected. Yes, logistical lines, but also, as you said, poverty alleviation in that area. I've been to Laos. Pretty heartbreaking, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And these are countries that have been left to just die, okay, over the last 20 or 30 years. Look at Africa, right? We're seeing that there with the Belt and Road as well.
You know what's interesting, Alex, is because of these new visa laws, and this is something that I've seen, and you probably have seen this online as well, you're watching this on YouTube. What I've noticed on YouTube is there is a tremendous amount of travel vloggers that typically, in the last, few years, China, again, it hasn't been on the radar. It's been closed down for a long time. When it reopened, you still had to get the visa. Still a big problem. Those walls are being broken down, and over the last 3 months, Alex, we have seen a plethora of new videos coming in. First impressions of China, my first 24 hours in Shanghai, my first 24 hours in Beijing. Not what I expected. And
shocking,
right? Shocking. And
but
so
the floodgates have opened.
The floodgates have opened, and what's happening is that this anti-China propaganda is being absolutely hammered out by people just simply doing what we're doing, just coming to the ground here, just walking, just experience it. And this is what I want people to understand is, we don't really prepare for these. We just simply come out, we have a conversation, we grab a camera, we have all the local Chinese people behind. I mean, I've had people in the last video say, I bet all the people behind were all paid actors by the communist government.
Wow, we got a lot of money, huh? But yeah,
all these people.
And the funny thing is if we stopped to talk to any of these people, they would strike up a conversation with us right away. It's funny because I had Cyrus in Chongqing, and I had to stop every 15 to 20 meters because Cyrus was engaging with all of the locals here, whether he was eating satay chicken or whatever. I couldn't pull him away. But no, the people are very, it's something, like I said, if you want a country that will roll out the red carpet for you as an individual, this is the place. Is it expensive? China can be whatever you want it to be. It can be a $15 a night cute little hotel city center. They call them micro hotels. Very easy to get. Some of the things that I liked to do when I left Canada, I couldn't even do. I like music. I like going to pubs, or sometimes going to a KTV to sing KTV music, or sometimes I just like, a fun time. Some of the fun has gone out of certain cities. They've been hollowed out. The city centers are hollowed out, but that's kind of like, I feel the opposite's going on here. There's more things that are driving people to the center of the cities now. And that's hard to really understand when you're just watching through your lens. But this is a city center. This is 5:45 on a Friday night. Give it another hour or two. There's going to be thousands of more people here.
Absolutely. And Alex, I do want to also say one other point is, it's been very rewarding for my wife and myself to bring our 3 kids back. And one of the things that was really interesting is my wife the other night, she went out for a foot massage, and it was about 10 o'clock at night. Went for an hour and a half foot massage. Well, not only that, but the main thing is she was able to walk home from the foot massage at 11:30 at night, being a single female walking in the streets. And she actually texted me just saying, this is unbelievable that I'm able to be out at almost midnight by myself. There's no crime here. I mean, it is such a, let me rephrase that. There's a very, very low level of crime that exists in China, much lower than anything you're going to see in an advanced Western country. But certainly my home country of America, I mean, that's something that you are constantly, safeguarding yourself against. I would not be walking out at midnight by myself in any major city in the United States. So I think that's really important for people to understand when we are talking about, your quality of life and different things that, I just want people to understand that China is a lot more normal, and it's a lot closer to what you guys want out of life. If you're a foreigner watching this and you're thinking like, what is the average Chinese person doing? You know what they want? They want the same things in life that you want, right? They want to have better jobs. They want to, have children. They want their children to have better opportunities. They want good education. They want to save money. They want to go on a holiday. They want to do these things, and there is no difference, whether you're in the United States, Canada, Europe, or China. All of us really want the same things in life, and I think that's where, Alex, I really, commend you for your work. And we often get called, peace ambassadors, and we're talking about, certainly we have all of these wars going on, right? We have the brutal war that's going on between Russia and Ukraine that has no end in sight. Obviously, we won't even talk about the stuff that's going on in Gaza. That's been an absolute disaster. That's not ending soon. We've got more tensions now going in the South China Sea, and we have a lot of aggression that's building up. And what we need more peacemakers in this world, and we need people to come together and understand that the world is big enough, and it's not really about a hegemony. I don't think that China is saying, hey, I want to be the top dog. I want to rule the world. We want America to be number 2. It is simply, Chinese people, they love doing business. They love making money, and let's work together and find a way to coexist.
The other thing I just want to add is we see a lot of these visas that are opening up countries. Come to China, make some Chinese friends. Invite them back to your country. If China has opened up the policy for the Polish like they did on July 1st, you can come in for 15 days, enough to catch a nice flight. Like I said, the world is your oyster here. Absolutely. You don't have to spend a lot. Spend a lot, you're going to get a lot. If you don't spend that much, you're still going to get a lot. And the thing is that make some friends and start that bonding like we've been trying to do for years to our viewers. And I commend you for continually, putting the time and energy in with your great videos as well, and the live streams that we do together.
Absolutely. Well, Alex, it's really been a pleasure. I'm so excited because the last time that we were in Chongqing, again, it was just a couple weeks ago, but it was so fun because I said, hey, dude, I'm going to be in China just a couple more weeks. I said, fly down to Guangzhou. Come see me again.
Absolutely.
Let's give the people what they want. They want to have more walk and talks with us. But Alex, we're going to do something a little bit different because I think what we're going to do, and I'm really happy to announce this on the channel right now, is that we are going to be starting up a new weekly show here on YouTube. We've got some sponsors that are coming in to help us, and it's going to be some really cool sponsors that we're working with. Again, our channels are self-funded. This is, as many of you know, longtime viewers, I work with a lot of sponsors, but we've got a specific live stream sponsor that's going to get us going, and we're going to really look to ramp up our content, really with a weekly live stream, talking about all things China, but also all things geopolitics, because one of the things is I certainly started this channel with a heavy focus on that. You've helped me understand a lot more of the outside world, and I think what we're looking at, for example, when we're looking at Russia, Ukraine, Israel, we're going to be bringing in ambassadors. We're going to be bringing in, again, people that have been on the ground. You have your colleague, James, on the ground here for 20 years in China, speaks fluent Chinese. This is an important thing where you need to have people that have real on the ground experience, not sitting, in a green screen in their basement, trying to make videos about China when you haven't been on the ground in a few years.
Yeah, I get it. So. All right, well, fantastic, everybody. Once again, thank you so much for inviting me down to your city. It was a pleasure. What a beautiful city.
Absolutely.
Makes me wonder, I'm going to spend more time here.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, time is your most valuable resource. I want to thank you for giving me your time today and making it to this point of the video. Once again, this is the beautiful Guangzhou. It's been a pleasure to be here again visiting, and I can't wait to share more stuff with you soon. We're going to link Alex's channel down in the description below. Make sure you drop us a comment, and I can't wait to see you all in our next video soon.